Here we have my 2006 Hummer H2. This truck is about to pass 350,000 miles on it. And everything's great except the rear door actuators are not working. They won't lock and unlock the doors. And I came out last week to find this window, like all the way down. The regulator broke, came open. Same thing happened in my 2007 H2 Hummer. Had to have that replaced. So tonight we're gonna replace the door actuators and the window regulator. To get inside here, the first thing that you have to do is take out this screw right down here, and that's where it all begins. We'll kind of walk through the whole process. We're gonna do this door first, and then we'll just finish up with the other one. So once you've taken out this one screw, here's a panel that just easily comes out. Just bring it out here and kind of twist it to the left here. That'll come all the way off. The only other two screws you need before you work on actually removing the outer door panel are these right here. And what size are those?
It's a 7. A 7mm.
7mm right here. You just remove those two. You don't have to undo anything else from inside here. Because once those are done, basically you've got pins inside here, here, and all the way around. You just got to feel around for them. It's good to have like a flat tool that you can stick down inside to pry and just pop those off. And those are going to pop all the way off, and this whole panel will come off. All right, so we have the driver's rear, and as we pull the panel off, like we talked about, one of the tabs broke off. You just got to be careful. I mean, it's not completely unavoidable. You just got to be careful and kind of know where they're at here. And there's enough sticky on this door trim that don't, try not to rip it too much. But I mean, as you pull it off around the edges there, it's going to tear a little bit, but there's enough sticky left on it that once you lay it back in place, it'll hold in place and snug up against the door. One thing I did notice, because I was driving around with it, with this panel off, you can definitely hear the noise from the road a heck of a lot more. For the last few days, this is how I propped it up. Some people have taped their window up, but then they end up with an issue where they have to remove a whole lot of tape residue. My buddy next door had a saw, and he went ahead and we measured here and we cut this piece of wood. So we lifted the window up in place right here. So I've been driving around with that piece of wood in there just to keep the window up in case it rained and so on. It worked like a charm. I thought maybe the kids getting in and out, it was gonna slam it around a little bit, but it turned out perfect. So we're gonna go ahead and get started on this. We've got our shop girl garage, Jenn, waving. She's done this a few times on a couple of her different trucks. This 2006 Hummer has, right now I'm exactly 26 miles shy of 350,000 miles. So I had this exact issue happen with the window on my other Hummer, which is the 2007 Hummer, which has 100,000 fewer miles than this one. So these window regulators, if they haven't got out on your truck, they are going to.
Most always, for some reason, everyone I've done has always been the driver's side rear door.
Yep.
Everyone.
Yeah, that's what happened on my other one. The other one happened when I hit the button to put it down. This one, I came out in the morning and the window was down. So it just gave way and fell apart. When we pull that apart, I'll show you exactly where it comes apart and unspools. And it's not something you can really put back together. It's just buy another regulator, throw it in, and get going. So show us the two bolts that you're loosening here.
You're gonna have to loosen these. These are hold the motor in here.
Mm-hmm. Now these little hooks, are we gonna pull those all the way out, or we just kind of lift them so they can go in through the window here?
We're gonna pull it back out, and you're gonna hold the window so it doesn't fall down once I move this wood.
Excellent. All right. And the door actuator that we're going to be removing is right back in here. See that little yellow clip there is part of it. Out, and it's coming out in two separate pieces because the cable broke right off. If you flip that over,
Yeah, you can see right here.
yeah, it got all wound up because there's a plate here, and I already fished it out of the bottom right here where my thumb is. That plate pops off, it just breaks, and it's, to be honest with you, the workmanship is pretty cheap on those things, and that's what happens. Those things just snap off, and then you lose the whole cable. First time it happened to me, that cable was hitting the window, and the sound of it, I thought the window was broken itself. Called a guy from Safe Light. He brought a window out. We opened it up, discovered that it was just a regulator. I went and bought a regulator. He installed it. Didn't charge me anything. I tipped him 50 bucks. So the motor itself has 2 bolts down here, and then you've got 1 bolt here at the top.
Like this. See?
Okay.
Like that inside.
All right. So even if you're not going to drive the car around, it's a really good idea to get a piece of wood cut so you can get that window and hold it into place as you unbolt everything so it doesn't come slamming down on you. And then you either hurt your hand or you shatter that window out.
Yeah, I'm gonna need you to.
This we don't have to take off because we can lift it up and pull it out, right?
No, I'm gonna put it out. Because what it's attached to has to come out. But that makes it easier for putting it back on.
But we do need to raise it back up into place because this hole right here is where you have to loosen the first bracket that holds the window. This one's easy to get to because it's exposed when you move it down here. So we're gonna have to lift the window back into place so she can get in there and loosen that up. All right, so slide it in. Yeah, you can reach it right there.
Yeah. Technically supposed to do this before you take that one out. You could technically put that screw back in there to hold this up since you got it right there.
But I'm holding it.
I was doing this by myself.
Yeah. All right, so here, go ahead and hold this. I'm gonna slowly let this down. I don't want the window to shatter. Now, just fishing this little guy out of here. That's how she looks without the motor on it. She walked away, left me holding the window, so I went ahead and put this socket through the hole, let the window sit down on it. So I can take a break. We're gonna look for some tape because you can take some tape and you tape from this side, wrap it around the top over here, and it'll easily hold that window in place while you do all the work that you have to do down here. All right, we got some tape. I'm gonna go ahead and move it back into place.
Should have done this to begin with, but I'm tired.
Yeah, there's just even tension on it, so it shouldn't yank that window down. It should be just fine. All right, we have now let it go and pulled out my safety socket. Aside from disconnecting the electronic connection inside, there are just these 2 screws on the outside that basically hold it in place. So after you remove these 2, you got to pull back behind the rubber here and get that 3rd bolt out.
Oh, it's a doozy. There we go.
There we go.
Got the rod
Once you get a little play
place
on there, now the rods are going to keep it from dropping all the way in. You just got to disconnect the rods. This part doesn't come all the way out, that just stays with the car, so it'll lock it into place. Here's the old one. That's junk. I've got a brand new shiny one. And now we're just going to go in reverse what we just did there.
We'll get this mounted up first before we...
Because you can...
Actually, I'm going to hook these rods back in before I mount it back up, because it's you need to be able to twist this around to get those rods out.
Yeah.
Because take a look at the end of the rod so you can see how it's got the curvature in it.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got to get that.
Yeah. Get that rod back into place.
Yeah.
So from your outside door handle, you've got a rod that's going to go in here, and that rod has actually grooves in it that will lock into place here. And so this is basically your outside door handle here. And this is going to be your door lock and release right here in the top and the bottom here. This is, as you see
inside
here,
door handle.
that's your inside door handle pull. Nice. Dropped your light again?
Yeah.
With all the dust and dirt that you're going to have inside, it should be very easy to tell if you look here at the rod that is for the door handle, exactly where that clamp is supposed to go. You see the very clean part? That's exactly where you want to clamp it down. Good to go. Now you just need to clamp the door and reconnect the power.
Okay. Screw it back in.
Was that power wrapped properly?
Yeah.
So it's not going to be in the way of anything?
Right.
All right. Okay, as we're working on the finishing touches, we're going to go ahead and line it up and reinstall. We're just not going to tighten them down all the way, but reinstall these outer screws. That way it'll hold it into place while you're dealing with the inside here. Notice your little child lock sticks right there, and you know you've got it lined up right. You line that up, you stick that in, you're good. All right, so we're good there.
Let me go ahead and tighten that back down so I don't have any play in the outside door handle.
That'll work. All right, we got it all back on. We got it bolted in. We're going to check everything. We have manually pulled on the door handle inside and outside to watch the mechanism actually work. And now we're going to lock and unlock. All right, so here we go. We're going to lock. And it's already locked. We're going to unlock. And there you go. You can see it go. Now we're locking and unlocking. There we go. It's working. Now fishing it through this time is going to be a little bit different because it's all going to be in one piece.
It's actually really easy.
Okay, you've got it that way. That's correct. All right, again, this is the piece that always seems to pop off and let everything spool out. It just wears out over time with the pressure of this cable that is wound up inside here as it brings the window up and down. All right, we just need to fish it in through this direction. So the bracket that actually holds the window up in place was down the shaft in a position that we weren't going to be able to tighten it up here. So we did plug in the cable and used the door switch to move that up.
Plus, it's a good idea to do that to make sure everything works, because it would be a terrible thing to...
That way you're testing it, you know it's actually going to move up and down the track before you install it in the car itself. Then you got to take the whole thing out and replace it. Order another one. So we know it works. We put it in the up position. Now we just need to loosen the two bolts that will loosen up the clamp, and we can wrap that around the window and lock that into place. And then it's just a matter of plugging everything back in, putting all the bolts in where they go, and putting the door skin back on. Okay, once you loosen the two bolts that tighten the clamp around the window, that's going to be the one through this hole here. And then the other one, which is totally exposed over here, you need to wrap those clamps around the window like she's done here. And she's holding it up against the window nice and tight, so nice and snug. And now she's tightening them back on. They already have nuts on the back there, so those nuts are going to lock it into place, allow it to be tightened straight down. Once that's done, we'll go ahead and bolt the whole track back into place with the two bolts. You got it tight on the window there?
Yeah.
Nice and tight? All right.
You don't want to over tighten.
All right, so here we go. We've got it in. Replace the bolts. Those two. So basically there are 5 bolts. 1, 2, 3. We got to tighten this one up for the actual motor. All right, once we had those loosened up a little bit, we moved the window down about this far so we could then pull tight on it into the clamps. See how it moves just a little bit?
Yeah.
I'm going to try to hold it totally flat so it's straight all the way across, and then you can tighten it down. Right now it's straight.
I got one side tightened down. Let's try to roll it up so I can...
It's already moves. It shifts a little bit.
Well, I've got to get to the other side.
As long as it's tight, I think we're good. I think it's doing its job. Good job, shop girl.